Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today I'm going to look at the Thousand Suns Index Army Rules, giving you a bit of my first impressions. Now, this won't cover the data sheets in any way. I am only just going to be discussing the rules as we have seen in the index, how they affect the army and their detachment that is shown so far. With that, let's have a look at the Thousand Suns. We start here by looking at the army rules for Thousand Suns. So this will affect Thousand Suns no matter what. And it's really then you have these rules and then you have the detachment rules, which we'll probably see more of with Thousand Suns as they come out, but you will be using these Cabal of Sorcerer abilities. So essentially at the end of the command phase, count how many Cabal points you've generated. Each data sheet shows how many a unit generates and can't generate if not on battlefield or they are battle shocked. And you spend Cabal points on rituals. Each ritual is usable once per phase. At the start of command phase, reset to 0, and it must target a Psyker model. So what are some of these abilities you can spend? We have Weaver of Fates for 2 Cabal points, which is used at the start of any phase. Once during this phase, when a saving throw is failed within 18 inches of this Psyker, you can re-roll. It would be nicer to just work on any Psyker on the field rather than having to be on a Psyker that has to be within a range. So you have to do a wee bit of planning there, but essentially, is a reroll and saves. Very, very useful. And we then have Temporal Surge, which is 5 Cabal points, used at the start of the shooting phase. Select a friendly unit within 18 inches of the Psyker, unless they are in engagement range, can make a normal move. If it does, it cannot charge. This will be very effective for Flamer units to get into range. Also can be used on Magnus, which really sort of propels him right across the field because it is a normal move he can make. So that is a huge amount of movement that he can do. Echoes from the Warp, 6 Cabal points, used at the start of any phase. Once this phase, the Psyker can use a stratagem for 0 command points, even if you've already used this stratagem this phase. Essentially 3 command points and using a stratagem for a second time. That is fairly affordable for the cost. Doombolt, 7 Cabal points, used at the start of the shooting phase. Select an enemy unit within 18 inches and visible to Psyker, roll a d6. On a 1 it's d3 mortal wounds. On a 2 to 5 it's d3 plus 3 mortal wounds, on a 6 it's d3 plus 6 mortal wounds. So that can escalate quite quickly there. You get a 6, that's a heck of an amount of damage there. The advantage some people are saying with this is that it can target things that, lone operatives, because it's not really a shooting attack, it's an ability. So that can really punk out some of those lone operative models that are causing you a bit of nuisance. So quite a good ability on that one. It may be a bit hefty on 7 Cabal points so that you may only get d3 mortal wounds. When it does go off, you only need a 2 to 5, d3 plus 3, really can cause a bit of damage there. Twist of Fate, 9 Cabal points, used at the start of any phase. Select an enemy unit within 18 inches of Psyker. Till the end of the phase, armor saves cannot be made for models in that unit. This has the potential to be absolutely devastating if a unit does not have an invuln save or feel no pain to really mitigate damage. Overall, I really like these abilities, but they do require quite a bit of pre-planning to utilise them the best. But as for sort of army-wide rule, I think that's pretty good. And then for our first detachment rules, we are getting the Cult of Magic. It gives us Kindred Sorcery, which is in your command phase, selecting an ability to take effect till the next command phase. You have Malevolent Charge, which psychic weapons have lethal hits, Psychic Maelstrom, psychic weapons have sustained hits, and Wrath of the Immaterium, psychic weapons have devastating wounds. I can see lots of potential here. You do need a wee bit of pre-planning. Devastating wounds does seem to be the one that can help quite a lot, though a number of abilities do have devastating wounds for 1000 Suns. So you might see other uses for the other choices, but really having devastating wounds is the one that I'm sort of looking into more than the others. Stratagems next. For the Cult of Magic, we have Psychic Dominion, which is 1 command point. Any phase, use on a 1000 Sun unit selected as target of an attack. Until end of phase, all attacks on that unit with psychic weapons have hazardous, and the unit gain 4 plus feel no pain against psychic attacks. Very situational. It's really going to be when you're going to play against other 1000 Suns, Grey Knights and some demons. They may hate this, but generally you might find it a little bit situational at best. Destined by Fate, which is 1 command point. Any phase after one of your units fails a saving throw, must be used on a Psyker. Change damage characteristic to 0. Great for 1 command point, likely going to be used on Magnus to keep him going because any of those high damage dealing attacks well, you really don't want them to get through. Devastating Sorcery for 1 command point. Your shooting phase on a unit that has not fired yet. Until end of phase, all psychic attacks in the unit reroll hits and reroll wounds. A lot of combinations with this one possible when teamed up with other stratagems, which we'll go into a moment later. Also possibly good for Magnus for his ranged abilities as well. And then we have Ensorcelled Infusion, which is 1 command point. Your shooting phase on a unit that has not fired yet. Until end of phase, give Inferno Bolt Pistol, Inferno Bolt Guns, Inferno Combi Bolters, Inferno Combi Weapons in this unit Psychic and Strength 5. So this is the stratagem we're talking about, the combos. 2 command points with a combination of both of them is potentially a devastating amount of attacks, using in conjunction with Cabal points to ignore armor saves for maximum damage. So you can see there are a dangerous combination of stratagems there, really could end up causing quite a bit of hurt. Sorcerer's Might for 1 command point, your shooting phase on a unit that has not yet fired. Until end of phase, add 9 inches to the range of psychic weapons. Sadly this isn't usable on Mass Flamer unit, but you might be able to use them on, I think, Scarab Cult. Their combi bolters, because they've got rapid fire, might help you in the rapid fire range, that might work there. You'd obviously have to make them sorcerer or psychic weapons beforehand, but also you can use it for Magnus's ranged weapons if he's just a little bit out, might be an option as well. Warp Sight, 2 command points, your shooting phase on a friendly psyker unit and 1 enemy unit visible to them. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly psyker with psychic attacks that targets that unit gain indirect fire and ignore cover. Possibly a little bit pricey at 2 command points, but works for all units that target that unit. So there may be a backfield unit that you need to destroy, you really can't get line of sight of it. This might help you to actually be able to put some shots into them and take them out. And on to enhancements for the Cult of Magic. We have Lord of Forbidden Lore, which is Psyker model only. Bearer can be selected to use a ritual even if it was already used this phase. This one has very good potential in it. You do need to sort of pre-plan around it with all the Cabal abilities, you kind of need to. So you can use that reroll save twice one, which would be good to protect Magnus. The 0 command point one twice, generally quite good. Athenia Scrolls, which is Psyker model only. If Bearer is on the field during your command phase and not battle shocked, it generates 1 additional Cabal point. Overall fine. I think I'd prefer this to be a command point rather than a Cabal point, but it is still not bad. You could possibly put this on one of your units that's maybe, not going to be in the thick of it. So if they're not going to get as much threatened, then yeah, this one's definitely worth taking. Umbralific Crystal, which has to be used on 1000 Suns model only. Once per battle, in your command phase, remove the bearer and unit from battlefield, and can redeploy in reinforcement step anywhere in the battlefield more than 9 inches horizontally from enemy models. Was solid before in previous edition, and simply it'll be probably solid in this edition. Redeployment will help you keep up control of the battlefield. Having board control can sometimes be a difficult thing for 1000 Suns. It's something I've had difficulty with myself, so just having that redeploy really does help there. Then Arcane Vortex, which is 1000 Suns model only, add 1 strength and damage to psychic weapons equipped by the bearer. There's plenty of potential in this one. I've seen a few loadouts that people have said this came out quite good. Keep in mind it applies to psychic weapons, so this works for both the ranged and melee weapons that are psychic. And there we have it. That is my first impressions of the 1000 Suns Index Army rules. Overall, quite like them. I think this is an army you're definitely going to have. You can't just put your units down and not have to think about them too much. You're going to have to think about pre-planning, how you're planning to use all your Cabal abilities, how your army composition really plays into them, and how you use your stratagems well. So it's not the easiest army so far to use, but I can see plenty of opportunities with the rules themselves to really get some maximum usage of them. Also depending on all the units and points, etc. But this is a really good bones to a codex. When we see the codex come out, we'll probably see more detachments, etc. But I really like this one as a beginning unit sort of force for the 1000 Suns. So what's your thoughts? I'm very intrigued to hear what people have to say about 1000 Suns. Please comment, share, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on another Tabletop Assault Battle Report.